Hello, good evening. You're welcome to this week's Forex Outlook with Great White FX for the 28th of October to 3rd of November 2023. So we're going to start off with the economic calendar for the coming week. So as we notice, daylight saving shift time has started in Europe. So what that means is that the daily closing candle, I think it shifts forward 1 hour. So you notice your 4-hour time, your 4-hour candle, I think it would shift either forward or backward, but I just can't remember. But I'll still check it up. But you just need to be aware that this will affect mainly the daily close and the 4-hour candle. So if the 4-hour candle normally, the new 4-hour candle normally 10, you might see 7 and 11 or something like that. Or if it was 7 and 11 before, you will now see something like 6 and 10. So you need to take note of that. Then we have Tuesday, we have BOJ Outlook report. It's always tentative. I don't know why it's always like that. Then we have on Wednesday, we have some high impact news on Wednesday. Hello? Hello? So on Wednesday, we have FOMC. Hello, if you have, let's keep our mics on mute, except you want to ask a question. So on Wednesday, we have FOMC. Then we have Thursday as going to be heavy impact news on GDP, rate news. Then on Friday, we have FOMC, we have non-farm payroll, unemployment rate. So this week is going to be very, very, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. So not taking so much of our time, let's get into our weekly outlook. So as always, we're going to start off with US 100, dollar index, Euro USD, GBPUSD, gold, EURGBP, pound yen, and Euro yen. So we're going to start off with US 100. US 100 is a variant for MT4 of the NASDAQ, US NASDAQ. So for those of you who don't know, so looking at this, on the weekly, we're still in a downtrend. On the weekly, we're still in a downtrend. If we look at this on the daily, this low, 14,429.5 has been broken. Mr. Jacob, your mic, I'm not hearing you clearly. If you want to ask a question, you can type in your question. I'm not hearing you clearly. You're having back echo effect. So this has cleared and this other block has failed. So going into this new week, we're going to see a bit of a retracement. That's depending if we don't see a gap down. That's one thing you need to be aware of. Says my voice is breaking. Hello, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay. So we're going to have, depends on what they do on Monday. If there is no gap on Monday, this most likely will retrace into this fair value gap here. There's a fair value gap and there is a volume imbalance here. So this, let's go down to our 4-hour time frame. If we go to the 4-hour time frame, you're going to see the volume imbalance clearly. So between this point and this one, price has gone in there, but there's a possibility it may still run higher if it doesn't gap down. So if you put in your annotations, this is what you're going to have. Moreover, on the weekly, so let's start off. We have this weekly fair value gap. If you notice, price got to the consequent encroachment of it and bounced on Friday. So if we take that into perspective, there's a possibility we might see, and it's sitting, because normally a fair value gap, if it's very big, I break it into quadrants, 25, 25, 25, 25. So it bounced from the 50. You see how it's found some kind of support of the upper quadrant. So the possibility is that this may rally into this point, into this point, or this is a daily fair value gap. If it gets rejected from there, then we might see it try to fill first the previous week's low will be the first draw, then this lower price here. That's it for the US 100. We'll be looking to sell into retracement. Doesn't mean you can't take a long entry. You can't take a long entry, but you need to be very careful. You need to be sure that there is evidence to support it moving up into this area. If not, you wait for a retracement. If you watch the review for last week, our review on the US 100 played out perfectly. So the next way we're going to be looking at dollar index. This dollar index has me a little bit concerned. By the time I finish, hello? Hello? Okay, so the next way we're going to be looking at is the dollar index. So looking at the dollar index, we're going to start off from the weekly. This is still bullish. It's still bullish, but it's still sitting within this structure point here. It's bullish, but still sitting within the structure point. If we go down to the daily time frame, we have still bullish, but we have some lots of indecision candles. We have a long upper wick and a doji here. Note this fair value gap on the daily, price closed above it. If we go down now to the 4-hour time frame, there is something I'll point out on the, when I go to the euro, I'm going to point out something on the euro and dollar index. Because if you look at the two, there's a little bit of a divergence of sorts. If you look at this, note this February 13th, October 11 a.m. candle, the high to this is a higher high on the dollar index. So logically, on the other currencies like EURUSD, GBPUSD, it's supposed to create a lower low. So for this pair might retrace a bit down due to FOMC. It might retrace a bit down to fill this imbalance. If I put in the annotations, we might see a bit of a retracement into this structure point, and a bit of a continuation to the upside. Might see a bit of a retracement and a continuation to the upside, because since we have FOMC on Wednesday and non-farm payroll on Friday, this may retrace, then continue to the upside. So for this, we'll be looking to buy into dips to continue to the upside. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is EURUSD. Looking at the EURUSD, if we look at it on the daily, this pair is still slightly, it's still bearish. Major structure flow is still bearish on this pair. Major structure flow is still bearish on this pair. If we move to the daily, we'll notice our price is making what looks like a higher high, a corrective move to the upside. Now, it's sitting within this last down candle before this slight move. This pair is still bearish, but I have a feeling that we might see a rally to the upside on this pair. Now, let's go to the 4-hour time frame. We will go to the 4-hour time frame. Remember the low, the high I talked about on the DXY 13th. Now, this is the 13th. I think it was the 11 a.m. candle or something. It's somewhere here. Because, you know, the 4-hour candle on the EURUSD and the dollar index are not the same. There's a bit of a difference. So this is that low. Now, if you notice the dollar index had a higher high. But do you notice what you have on the EURUSD? You have a higher low. So which means that going into this new week, there's a possibility that this might retrace a bit here before coming down to sweep all this liquidity. If you look at it, you can just see the formation. He's making new highs, but not necessarily making new lows. So that's what we have on the EURUSD. There's a possibility we might see a bit of a retracement into this level and then a continuation back to the downside. Now, if we go to the next pair we're going to look at is the GBPUSD. The GBPUSD is still bearish. It's still bearish. It's still bearish, but it's still sitting above this fair value gap. Let me put in my annotation. Price is still sitting above this fair value gap. There has been no considerable close below this fair value gap at 1.2130. There has been no considerable close below it, but it's still bearish. So if we go into the new week, that's going into the daily time frame, we have a sort of a swing low on the daily, rejection from this daily fair value gap. If we drop down to the 4-hour time frame, now if you notice that 13, this is the 13th low, you notice how the Euro GBP is making lower lows, but on the Euro USD, it's making higher highs, and the dollar index made a higher high. So going into this new week, the possibility exists that this may retrace before continuing back to the downside to go for 2069 and 2037. That depends on what Monday does. They must not drop. If it's to continue down, they shouldn't sweep this low first. They should stop at this 4-hour fair value gap here, drop into it, and then continue back to the upside. That's for the GBPUSD for a continuation down. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is gold. Gold is still continuing its upside move. Still continuing its upside move. Let me hide my drawings. If we look at gold from the weekly and see that this fair value gap on the weekly, there has been a close above it. And we're in a sort of a weekly bearish order block, the last up candle before this slide down move. So that's where price is on the weekly. That's where price is on the weekly now. So if we switch to the daily time frame, we can see that price on the daily fair value gap, there's a fair value gap and a bearish order block. Price didn't close above it. Price just spiked it and closed on Friday. Most of the move on Friday was done during the New York session. That was when price really rallied into this point. So going into the new week, there's a possibility we might see a bit of a retracement. So here I'm going to put in my annotations. Now, if you look at this point, that's this 1985.39 to 2000 is a weekly fair value gap. The consequent encroachment is at 1993.12. So if this, depending on what they do on Monday, if this is to retrace, you'll be watching this consequent encroachment and this level to act as support. Already, we have an order block here that was used to break these two swing points. So this will be a decent place if the up move is to continue to look for long opportunity to probably 2017, 2029, and 2014, any of these highs. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is the EURGBP. The EURGBP is bullish, but it has gone into a sideways consolidation. It's bullish. It has gone into a sideways consolidation, as you can see. So for this pair, I would reckon this fair value gap should be like your line in the sand. It may drop. If it's to continue higher, it may likely drop, sweep this point, these two swings, and then continue back to the upside. Probably previous week's high and this daily buy side liquidity at 87.46. So the EURGBP is still bullish. Any swing low will be seen as an opportunity for retracement to continue back to the upside. Then the next pair we're going to be looking at is the pound yen. If we look at the pound yen, it's still in a consolidation. After this, it's still bullish, but it's in a consolidation now. It seems to be in a consolidation. If we go to the daily time frame, the daily candle closed into this fair value gap, points to the fact that we might see a bit of a retracement and a continuation back to the downside. So if we move to the 4-hour time frame, and see we have these lows here, the price is holding. If you look at it, you can see that it's in a sideways consolidation. So going into this new week, I'm of the opinion we might see a rally into this imbalance above price and then a move lower to first sweep 181.01, then this low 180.27. That is provided price, well, it's in a consolidation. Given the candle formation on the weekly, this is a bearish candle formation, the same candle formation on the daily. So I'm of the opinion that we may just retrace a bit, then continue back down. But we need to be aware that we have BOJ's rate news on Tuesday. So that may play a strong role in this pair. So the next pair we're going to look at is the Euro Yen as the last pair. The Euro Yen has taken out all liquidity above this high. Like I said last week, it will definitely come for this high, 15969, and it has swept it. If we go down to the daily closed as a bearish on Friday, but into this bullish order block here. If we go down to the 4-hour time frame, you can see that it's still making higher highs. It's sitting within this. So going into this new week, it may continue to the upside, depending on what the news on Tuesday gives price. So any move on this pair, maybe to sweep this 157.04, might be a continuation to see price continue back to the upside. So these are just the annotations we have on price. So we need to see a swing, a bullish swing here for a continuation to the upside. That is, if price does not sweep this previous week's low into this swing on the 4-hour. So what am I saying is that if we don't see something, provided price does not do something like this, then you wait for something like this. So that's basically it. So any questions? Any questions? Or is there any pair anybody who want me to look at that I didn't look into? Okay. The absence of any question, thank you all for taking your time to watch. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so. So wishing everybody a beautiful weekend and a lovely trading week ahead. Good night, everybody.